All right, Stokastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac back to you after a 2+ week hiatus. I was doing a little better than producer Tyler's Wi-Fi. I was sitting on a beach there, multiple beaches out in Hawaii. We were both on vacation. It was good. It was a vacation, Terry. It was a good time. How you been? You were the last person I did a show with, according to the show sheet. Monday, November 28th.
Wow, was it that long ago?
That's been a while.
Solid vacation, my friend. Not bad. Yeah. And you didn't get caught in a volcano. No travel issues or anything like that. Going and coming back with the whole volcano erupting and everything.
We totally lucked out. There was literally no issues. Nice. Every flight was on time or a little bit early, and we went to 3 different islands, so there was a lot of connections. My wife has a blood clot issue, so we couldn't go directly from Virginia. We had to spend the night in California, though. That all worked out. So yeah, we have all the segments we need to make her whatever platinum, titanium, whatever it is for next year. So we got zone 1, even though there's multiple pre-boarding zones in front of you. We flew because it was celebrating her birthday. We flew first class from the California on all the Hawaii legs, and then back to California. The California to Virginia was only whatever they call that, the middle seats there in on United. I forget, not business class, something. But
you didn't get it.
That was the first one worth the upgrade. Did you find it was that much better?
Yes, I have flown first class only one other time, and it was like 20 years ago from Seattle to Vegas, and it was just one leg, so that's not a very long flight.
Short-ish.
So. Yeah. This one was pretty cool. I sitting back in those economy class, that's what they call the other one. Sitting back in those is a bit of a rude awakening, though we did get an exit row on the way back. So
that's a plus.
And then
I was going to say that the cramming the economy as the last leg back after having done the first class, though, that's probably a mistake. I don't think you can do that. You can't go back to the dregs of society with, after having lived the life of luxury.
There's no what beverage would you like me to serve you as soon as we take off question when we were back
instead they're slamming the cart into your elbow until you get the fuck out of the way.
Pretty much. No, would you like this potato chip or would you like this cookie fragment? You get one. Right?
And 1 sip of Coke. We only brought 1 can, so everybody's got to share. Pass it around.
Yeah, it was good times. It was good times. And my wife did her full marathon there, and so we spent all day. I was the logistics with the chase car, shall we say, at the marathon, because we had to leave our hotel because the marathon path shuts down most of Honolulu, especially by the water. So we had to leave our hotel at 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
And then the race starts at 5 a.m. So I had to get her out to where the race was. And then I had to stay out until they opened up enough stuff towards the end of the race so then I could drive to the end of the race. So I was in the car, sitting in the car for like 4 hours in the McDonald's parking lot. Let's just say not the kind of McDonald's you didn't want to go inside there. It was a rough neighborhood.
I didn't know they had rough neighborhoods in Hawaii.
Oh, there are a few.
Yeah.
There are a few. But we'll come back here. We got plenty of time, guys. Of course, we may run a little long. That's okay. At 4:45, we've got the NBA deeper dive starting. We have a 10-game
4:45 when we're signing off.
when they're going live on another feed, and we're still going here. Because Terry and I have a lot to say on today's slate.
That's right.
Thank you, everybody, for popping in here. This is great to see everybody back. Hit that like button. We love it. Hit the subscribe button. Truthfully, we did have 2 feeds going consecutively last night with the NBA Live Before Lock as well as the NFL Live Before Lock. Tonight, as I mentioned, starting at 4:45, we're going to have the NBA Deeper Dive. We're going to take you all the way up to 7:30 with a couple shows there. That is all brought to you by No House Advantage, much like tonight's show, or this afternoon's show is as well. If you guys sign up through the link below us here to join No House Advantage, you'll get a $50 deposit match with your first deposit. So that is something you are definitely going to want to take advantage of in there. And then let's see, what else do we get? We've got overlay galore, which is always fun. And the other nice thing is we've got free projections for you for No House Advantage. And No House Advantage does have two formats. So we're going to talk about their tournament contest, which is the No House Advantage. This is peer-to-peer. We're going against other gamers. They're going to post all the lines. Those are static lines. They're not going to move. That's just like salaries. The other sites don't change salaries when news comes out. These lines don't change. Got to make sure your player plays. Don't get cute and play somebody who's out. You're just going to get a 0 for that one. How do we play? We pick 10 questions, rank them with confidence points, 10 through 1. If we get the question correct or the player prop correct, by choosing the over or the under, those are our points add up. That's how we score against the other players. Tonight's contest, I believe it's a 20, let me get this back up, I think it's a $15,000 or $20,000 contest. Too many windows open here right now. $20,000 slam dunk, 10K to first. So we're going to talk.
It's going to run it like half full because they leave overlay on everything.
Half full. They're looking to run the overlay tonight. There's going to be people scrambling because there's going to be lots of questions unanswered. Tonight is a front-loaded slate. I believe it's 8 of the 10 games are going off in the first hour. There's 2 at 7, a bolus at 7:30, another chunk at 8, one 8:30, and one 10 o'clock game. So that lone Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Lakers game should be a lot of fun. Don't get caught watching your currently winnings because that game's going to bring the fantasy goodness. But let's jump in here, Terry. I'm gonna drop. I'll let you talk for a minute here. What are you liking for some of our top picks? I'm gonna drop the free link into chat here. This is the Bet Central for Osimo. You can click on the No House Advantage tab. That is free. And then there is also the No House Advantage projections page. I'm clicking on that's the second link I'm putting in. You'll see the format is a little different across the top, so you can check the versus the house prop. Those are the live props. You're going against the pick'ems. You're going against No House Advantage. The versus the house, you're going against No House Advantage. The pick'em, which is a weird way to phrase this, we're going against the gamers. We'll talk about that. And then the third tab, optimal lineups. Download that. You're going to get a CSV of all the best lineups, counting for the confidence points and the probabilities. I was told there'd be no math. All I got to do is download that, pick a few questions, upload it, No House Advantage. We're off and running. Terry, what do you got for us for our first couple picks?
So just real quick, what you're talking about there, there's some math and there's some important cartography going on here, because where I usually go for my No House projections is just the No House Advantage tab on the NBA projections page, yes, where it's got all the different projections and the probabilities. But what you're talking about, we do actually have an entirely dedicated section for NHA. So if you go at the top of the website to the NBA tab and you open up the drop downs and you go to the bottom one, the free NBA DFS data, and click the top link there for No House Advantage, that's how you get to what EMac's talking about, where we've got it broken down by the different types of bets and by the different types of contests. So really good new look to the tools over there. So just to help some people find it if they weren't sure what you were talking about, because when you first said it, I wasn't sure, because I was like, wait, I just downloaded those. That's not different. What's going on? What's he talking about? But we do have some good picks.
The whole new look and feel here.
It's the guys did a good job on it. I like it, but for my purposes, I still have to use the other one just because of how all my stuff's laid out. I just dump it all in the spreadsheet.
Yes. Well, fortunately, producer Tyler,
I'm glad we didn't change that.
Yeah, producer Tyler, one step ahead of us. He's showing it on the screen, but you can see how it looks. So you can filter by the under odds. That gives you the probability that it'll hit the under, or the over odds. Again, this is for the tournaments that we're going to talk about today. So Terry, take it away.
So one of the ones, unfortunately, it's an under. It's our strongest pick of the day at 95.7% probable to go under. It's a good example of the kind of lines that we're talking about for these versus the field contests, where they just kind of leave some of these meaty lines, these highly, highly probable lines, and they almost operate as a $4,000 salary on a DraftKings, on a FanDuel, for just a cheap guy getting a lot of action who's going to be a big value play. Consider these types of picks your value plays. So the biggest value play on the board right now, Miles Turner, a line of 10.5 rebounds going up against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We've got him projected at 7.27. He averages 7.7 a game for the season. In a per 36 cents, he averages 9.4. So even if he gets 36 minutes, which is not what we're projecting him for, we've still got him a full rebound below this line. We're projecting him at 28.4. He's averaged 29.5. Last 3 out, he's played 31, 35, 30, 30, and 34, the 2 before that. So going through the last 5. So there is support for a 30 to 32 32-minute night. But even if he's getting that, I still like him to fall a rebound or two below this. And he's going up against a really stout rebounding team in the Cleveland Cavaliers here. So there are just some good big men competitors out there. I like that one to go under. I think that one's fairly safe. 95.7%. Obviously, we're considering that in and among the top picks on our overall card there. So get us started with Turner on the rebounds. His PRA prop is the next one down on the board at 89.3% to go under. And it's a lot of the same token. They just left it really high. 30.5 is his PRA. That's an insanely high PRA for this guy. He averages 26.8 for the season. So 30.5 is just a lot of work to do. Excuse me, in a tough spot. I just don't see him getting there.
Yeah, and that's a good thing to point out. If we look at the Cleveland matchup, it looks like a lot of these are based on averages. If we look at the Cleveland matchup, Cleveland over the last 10 games playing at the slowest pace in the NBA with the best defensive efficiency, and they're the number 6 rebounding team. So that those things are all working against Turner in both categories there. So I like your example of the $4,000 salary. That's a good way to phrase it on that one. Another one that's kind of interesting here is the Gary Trent Jr. This one feels like a mid-card play, the under on his rebounds. Now, 3.5 is the number, 2.1 is our projection. His minutes are all over the place. He sometimes games he plays close to 40. Other games he plays around 20, which is not what you want to pick for in somebody in the DFS landscape, especially on a 10-game slate. But if we're looking for some unders, this one is kind of interesting. It appears that he may have fallen out of favor with Nick Nurse, especially when you consider that OG Anunoby has been out for the last few games, just freeing up general minutes in that rotation, especially on one that could be lacking a little bit of offense outside of the three obvious players there for Toronto. So I don't hate that under.
Yeah, I like that one. And to be honest, even if he does get 32-ish minutes, I still think we're okay. It's not a big line, like 3.5 rebounds. Somebody could trip over themselves and fall into that, but this is just not a rebounder. 3.1% rebounding rate, 2 rebounds a game in a per 36 cents. It goes to 2.3 rebounds a game. He's playing 31.3 minutes. We've got him projected at 32. Like you said, they've bounced around a little bit. It was 25 the last time out. So I think there's plenty of support for that one going under. It's probably not one of my top confidence just because it is such a low number in general. 3.5, anybody could have a 4 rebound day, but I do like it. I do. Excuse me. I agree. I do think it's like a mid-grade, mid-card pick.
Yep. And then 2 more quick ones. One, we'll use D'Angelo Russell. He's questionable. So remember, I didn't have a chance to double check it. I think the No House Advantage questions all lock at lock. We did have someone on our last show on 2 weeks ago on Monday before I left said they were able to make some late swaps on their phone, on the phone app. We didn't know if that was a glitch or potentially an older iteration of the app. So I will try to get on there and test that at some point just to see if you can. I would generally operate under the assumptions. Usually I'm only playing 1 or 2 lineups on No House Advantage. I put mine in and then I forget about it because I'm not trying to get cute or get fancy with some of these questionable players, but I do bring up D'Angelo Russell, who is questionable tonight. So that's just a reminder that if somebody doesn't play and they're in your card, you get nothing for that. You don't get, so don't pick his under, even though his under looks appealing. Don't pick that because unless we know he's playing. But the last one I kind of want to look at here that I thought was somewhat interesting is Jason Tatum. Rebounds 9.5 is the line. We're projecting him for 7.8. We should see Robert Williams back today. That's going to impact Tatum's rebounding. And Tatum, from his career perspective, per 36 is per game. Rebounding is just not his forte. Can he do it? Yes. But he tends to play a little bit more on the wing and leaving, a cast of thousands literally from the Celtics to do the dirty work under the glass. So yeah, we saw him get a little better at it with the playoffs. It's because he was playing 42 minutes a game, right? This is a little different. And Boston's so damn good. How much are they going to need him out there tonight? So I kind of like the under on that. Let's, if there's no other unders you like, Terry, we can talk about some overs because who wants to root for unders besides Ben Ross?
Yeah, I always prefer the overs. They're always more fun. I agree with you on the Tatum rebounding one. It's a little bit thinner, and that's why it's sitting at 81.5%. It's, he averages 8.3, but in addition to Williams, you're also getting Al Horford back tonight. So, or Al Horford on the court tonight playing. That was confirmed just before the show. So I think we've got enough support for the idea of this going under or him just having an average rebounding game, which puts him around 8. So I think we're good there. And then, yeah, let's flip over to the the overs. We've got some high 80s to talk about, at least no 90s, but a high 80s one that I feel pretty confident in just right off the top is James Harden on the assists, 7.5 assists. That's basically 3 below what he's averaged for the season this year in 37.7 minutes in his 13 games. I have no issues going to that one. It's a 10.3 on the per 36 because he's averaged more than 36 minutes a game. In a per game sense, 10.8 against the 7.5 line. I have no issues going to that. 44.4% assist rate so far for James Harden. Underrated part of Harden's game, really, if you look at the numbers.
All right, flipping over here to the.
I can do another one off the top here too. Is
fire away here.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball on the 3-pointers. I think, assuming that we're getting another, in a limited action kind of a sense, last night in his return, he played 34 minutes. They talked about managing his minutes. They talked about shorter stints.
And he fouled out, by the way.
Did he foul out? I didn't.
So he did not play in the overtime.
He didn't play the full game. That's absurd. I didn't even know that he fouled out. That's just dumb. Before fouling out, he took, I think it was like 13 threes, made 5 of them. So this is a guy who's going to be perfectly willing to chuck. It's a 2.5 line. We've got him projected at 3.97 in the 4 games he's played this season. He's taken 11.3, making 3.8. I think we're perfectly fine to chase the LaMelo threes there, unless you got some weird news about he's going to be limited to 20 minutes, or obviously if he doesn't play. But otherwise, if he's on the court, I see him getting there.
Yeah, that was he was going to play in short bursts were the word, and then didn't really matter. So they obviously they're not rushing him back, so he was ready to go. These, Charlotte, one of the worst records in the league, they only have 7 wins, so it's not exactly time for them to really be doing odd things to lose. So let's see him get his sea legs there. He played 34.
Expecting Gordon Hayward back tonight, but I don't think that really would
50-50.
I think he's still going to chuck.
Yeah, and I think if Hayward comes back, at most it's going to take some minutes away from probably Kai Jones will fall out of the rotation. Jalen McDaniels may lose a little bit. Even Nick Richards may only be center backup directly, and it's not really going to worry too much sliding as they slide down for that one. So Christian Wood, we have him projected for 20 points tonight. His line is 14.5. I'm sort of saying this hesitantly. Word is he may join the starting lineup. Coach Jason Kidd has been having him come off the bench. It's a tough matchup tonight. They're going against Portland. Portland and Dallas both are playing Dallas is incredibly slow. Cleveland's the only team slower than them. Portland's a bottom 8 team right now over their last 10 games. So you think of them as being like, no, there's more possessions. It's like, well, either Dame comes down and launches one from 30, nailing it, because that's what he does, or they do he brings it, whoever brings it down, it goes into Nurkic, and then they swing it around between Simmons and Dame and whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, all right, someone needs to make a play. There's 7 seconds left on the shot clock, meaning it takes a lot longer. So they're not quite the fast breaking team that we expect. Dallas is going to try to dictate tempo on this. It's not the best matchup for Christian Wood. I still think he can get over 15 points or 15.5 points, which is here. I feel like 20 is a bit lofty. Even if he lands in the starting lineup, I don't think that changes his usage rate as much, but it helps elevate his floor. This one feels a little trappish. What are you thinking about Christian Wood here?
I think in a sportsbook sense, if this was a line at a sportsbook where it would probably be in the, I imagine, upper 18.5, 19, somewhere around there. That would be a little bit more trappy, just thinking like, starting lineup, give more opportunity. Like you said, I don't know that he necessarily sees an uptick in usage from the 26.7% that he's averaged for the season, just by virtue of stepping into the starting lineup. We see that in projections a lot. Guy moves from the bench, sixth man moves into the starting rotation, and it's all of a sudden, well, why did his projection go down or stay the same? We're giving him a couple additional minutes. Well, we're taking him from 20 and change usage down to like 18 in the starting lineup because he's playing with superior players. So not that Wood is necessarily in that type of a situation exactly, but this is a spot where he's being carried by the fact that we're giving him 6 additional minutes in the projections. And I imagine we're not tweaking the usage or anything all that much. In a standard sense, in 26.2 minutes in his usual role, he's putting up 16.6 points per game. In a per 36 sense, that's at 22.8. So somewhere in between is probably where the truth of tonight lies. And either way, I think we're going to be over that 14.5. So I do still like it, but I would say, yeah, if we're talking about confidence, maybe we can ding it a little bit from where the math says it should be and just consider it a little bit more fragile because we don't exactly know what the role is going to be. We don't exactly know what the usage and the minutes are going to look like. So given everything we do know and can assume, I do still think it's a fairly safe pick that we can use.
Yes. I see Dr. DFS mainstay in chat asking, blowout potential in Philly and Golden State Warriors. Does this hurt the Harden overs? After we saw Indiana sit 8 players, sit their top 7 scores, yet still win, or not, not Indiana, the Brooklyn in Indiana, beating Indiana.
Yeah, that's right. That was
there is no such thing as a blowout risk anymore. It can happen in any game. And I think so much of it happens now to the variance of 3-point shots. And even if you look at like all of a sudden it's like, oh, this team hit, 48% of their 3-pointers. They won by 12. It's like, yeah. And if they had shot their normal, they would have lost. Yeah. And they were a crappy team. It just landed in their favor. Oh my God, this team went nuts. They shot 52% from the field overall. Yeah. And they got 9 extra trips to the line. And it's like, well, those are variable things. The refs called it a certain way or whatever. So I think this season is even weirder than the bubble. Oh yeah, even weirder at the end of normal tanking seasons. We don't know what the hell's going on right now. We're looking at April basketball and March basketball right now. We have. I checked this. I think I looked at like 2 days ago. I've lost track of time flying back from Hawaii. 110 more days of NBA regular season. You ready, Terry?
That's absurd. That's ridiculous.
I think we're 57 days in. And I know there's about 165.
See, that's funny because I was looking at it the other day. I was looking at the records and I was like, holy shit, a decent chunk of the season has passed by. We're like a quarter of the way through the season and everything. But when you think of it in terms of days like that, it's like, yeah, we're going to be a quarter of the way into baseball season before this shit is done. We've got a long ride ahead.
We're 10 days away from Christmas. It feels like
the official start of the
NBA for a long time.
That's a lot of basketball to play.
Yes. So Dr. DFS, just to finish, always worth considering. Yeah. I think blowout risk is something entirely different this year. And before it was like, well, do they put up that 7-0 run with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter, or are they cruising in with a 20-point lead into the fourth quarter? There's going to be varying degrees. It's always something that's worth thinking about, but I think we're just going to see more chaos than we ever have before.
And it's an assists prop.
Yes.
So it's kind of plays into that idea of, all right, if they are lighting them up, like we talk about with superstars in DFS all the time, like if they did light them up, Giannis probably scored his, 30x points and did his usual Giannis things, even if he doesn't play the fourth quarter. In this situation, I think that applies, and it might even apply a little bit stronger because of it being an assists prop, because even if they're in a situation where it's Harden, taking his foot off the gas pedal and saying, all right, I'm not going to drive and have to score because we're lighting these guys up. I don't need to, go out of my way to make these guys look bad. That means he'll be passing the ball and he'll be picking up some assists when some of these other guys knock down their shots or get their opportunities. So I think we're still safe even in a blowout narrative with that assists prop. It's just so far below what he averages. He could have a mediocre game for 3 quarters and still get to that one. So I think we're fine. Maybe if you want to ding the math on the confidence rating at 89.5, call it 80% probable. We're still pretty damn happy with an 80% bet.
Yeah, absolutely on that one. And I see Kickstart My Heart's asking, hey, I see the betting package looks like it's separate now than the NBA premium package. So this is something we're slowly breaking out. It was kind of in beta at first, and some of the things that we have that were part of the DFS package are sort of moving towards that. For those of you that have the season-long premium, if something disappears, hit up support. We're trying to get everybody's package done correctly. We're not going to take anything away from you already signing up, but those that are coming in on
your package correctly.
Yes, some of the people that are coming on the newer packages over the next rest of the 110 regular days of regular season, they may be getting a slightly different package. But if you're already on that premium season long one or whatever, just reach out. We're trying to bifurcate stuff, but we're putting in a whole bunch of new tools. So it's not just like we're taking this away. Guess what we are adding? We've added essentially the coolest tool out there, I think, and this is something I've been playing around with a little bit, but it is our lineup generator. So they've added some new features to this, Terry. So not only do we have the cutting edge algorithms that analyze all the player data, the ownership, the whatever, to kind of make you get the best player lineups you need for generator for DFS, but we've also added in that you can lock players in, which is something they've added in the last 3 or 4 days. So you can say, I want to do some lineup generators, but put in these 2 or 3 players. So you can kind of start to click your core, and then you can move those lineups. I think it generates essentially like one at a time, but you look at it. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Move it over to the holding pen, and then you can download that holding pen as a CSV and upload it onto the sites. But that is something that we continue to improve upon. So just don't get salty. It's like, oh, they're moving this. No, we're constantly adding more tools and stuff to the DFS package as well, because we want to make sure that you guys get the best of the best that's out there.
And the site's never going to do something that's going to take something away from your subscription that you've paid for. The site's never going to take away something that that your money is in for a few more months and not give you access to it. So if you feel like that's happened where something moved and you can't access it now, like EMac saying, just send an email over to the guys at support, and they'll take care of you. They'll get you set back up for access to whatever you've paid for. But in the betting packages, the new way we're doing that too, with the dedicated channels for each person. So if you're a bettor and you really like tailing Eric's bets, if you really like tailing Ben Ross's bets, if you really like tailing, anybody, an Aton or somebody like that, we've got all these guys broken into different channels in Discord now, and they're in there dropping their picks at a moment's notice, like a line changes or something, player scratches, and all of a sudden Greg Ehrenberg's in his channel sending up an alert saying, hey guys, I'm hammering this bet now. And you guys have seen on these live streams how quick he is and how good he is at jumping on stuff like that. We're giving those alerts, so you can subscribe to each different guy's channel now. A lot of different cool ways that they're doing the betting stuff. So a lot of betting action going on, a lot of DFS action going on, a lot of no house advantage type stuff going on. It's crazy over here.
But Terry, I'm in a state that doesn't allow sports betting. But wait, do I have no house advantage? Why, yes, I do. Well, guess what? They do have versus the house contests. So this is their player prop contest. We know these from the other sites. You can pick 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 on the player card here. These are not static lines. They are dynamic. They will move with injury news, but No House Advantage is starting to post those. They're starting to add more and more options. We have the versus the house props page broken out now. This is something new. You used to have to kind of reverse engineer it through OddsShopper, which is our sister site and easy enough to do, because they're going to mirror what the market is on 95% of their bets. They have pretty sharp lines here, but if you need to scratch that itch and you're in a state that hasn't become savvy to get those get that revenue dollars coming into the state coffers, you can play on No House Advantage, do the versus the house contest. Again, if you go 5 for 5, you got to get all your questions right that you pick for your card. But if you go 5 for 5, it's 21x payout. That's the highest in the industry. If we look over there, we now have it sortable where we will break it down for you by prop category, by the matchup, by the team if you want, and by the player. That's something that 2 weeks ago didn't exist. I don't think it does still on No House Advantage. It was a little harder to search for things there. But this allows us to go look at the Stokastic site and say, that's the wager I want. Then you just got to go into the versus the house on No House Advantage, type in the player name, it'll bring up their props. But you can't just say, give me all the assists, give me all the rebounds. They're working on that. They will add that. That's something they've talked about. But we got that now for you. So check that out over there.
Yeah, just having the ability to filter like that is huge. And then just having it laid out with our win percentages on there now for the versus the house contests, forget it. I mean, you're taking, and I've been saying all week long, they are tighter lines. They are more akin to sportsbook lines, but just looking at it today, we've still got the top pick on that one. Franz Wagner's under on his 3 points prop, 2.5. We've got him projected at 1.4. We've got that as an 83%er. So, I mean, there's still room here. 83%, 75%, 65, 64, 63, 63 up at the top. That'll fill you out a nice card. Hey, we're not saying it's an absolute lock, but if you're filling out a 5-way parlay on a sportsbook site, you're not getting percentages like that still. So this is still a little bit looser than your traditional sportsbook lines, at least on some of these. So you can capitalize. And if you're using our tools, you should be able to make some serious money against the house here.
Yep. And again, 2 things: aim small, miss small. I've learned this. Instead of going for the 5 and 6 leg parlays on some of these non-sports wagering sites, go for the 2 and 3 leggers. Get your 3x or your 5x payouts. That will add up more quickly actually than trying to hit those 5 for 5s and falling with just 4.
Stacking a lot of small successes one on top of another is an easier way to build a bankroll than chasing that one big meaty building block for the bottom. That's I can testify to that.
Yes, and that's one of your favorite nits, Terry. You know I check these things out because I like to see where I'm landing on these. But that's all the different offerings we have for you here at No House Advantage. So that's going to be key. If you want to hit that like button, we'll appreciate that. And then at 4:45, we're going to have the NBA deeper dive, kick everything off here, and then we also have the live before lock going an extra 30 minutes, all courtesy of No House Advantage, sponsoring both of those shows tonight. So again, if you go through the link that's below us here in the YouTube description, that'll get you a $50 deposit match on your first deposit. Gives us a little hat tip that they know, hey, you came over from Stokastic. Maybe we should keep doing shows and put these free projections up on Stokastic, which is what we want to continue doing with you guys. So that does definitely help us out. And then you can also check on some of our promo pages to check out all of the other sites that we have some of these offers with. So that's key as well. Because
this is my favorite kind of slate for that extended live before lock too, with 8 games starting before 8 o'clock. They're going to have so much info and so many little bits of breaking news in that last half hour that we're going to be able to really capitalize on that extra half hour. So looking forward to hanging out with the boys tonight for that.
Yep, that will be Nerd Ass Greg and a special guest. I'll have to see who that is.
Oh, I haven't looked at the schedule. I don't even know.
So tune in then.
Is it you?
It could be Terry. We'll
Chris Bags? It better not be me. that wipes out everything I just said about that extra half hour if it's me. Shit.
Yes. Oh, okay. Here. So we'll look at this last one here from Jake Nunley. He says his five for tonight are the Franz Wagner 3 points under. The Jason Tatum
versus the house. Huh?
Yep. The Jason Tatum 3 points under.
Mm-hmm.
The Trae Young points under. Okay. I can get there. Trae a little dinged up. Quickly talking about Atlanta, John Collins has been out for a while, so we know what's happening there with him being out. They've also lost DeJounte Murray, so we the DFS prices have sort of stabilized, and now Clint Capella is going to be out, but Trae's a little bit dinged up, so I don't mind going on the under for the points there for Trae. Is the Aaron Gordon points over? Okay, that's a phenomenal matchup tonight where you've got the Lakers hosting Denver. We have, going off top of memory, I think it was a 237.5 projected point total there. Both those teams top 10 in pace, bottom 5 over the last 15 in defense efficiency. So you'll want to check that one out. I'm good with that. Michael Porter Jr. is still out, so I think that's reasonable. And then the Halliburton assist over. Halliburton leading the league in assists. Last I checked, he was the only one over or the only one in double digits. And a lot of people are sleeping on that one right now.
Yeah, that one's sitting. If we're talking about the versus the house contest, those two in the middle, the Gordon points and the Trae points, are a little bit thinner. Those are sitting right about 50% in our numbers in the versus the house contest. So you might want to evaluate some of the ones that are rated out higher, because you don't have to worry about competing with duped cards or anything like that. You're just playing against the house. So you might be able to take advantage of some of those 60%ers up at the top of the board there. The Hallie one is pretty good, sitting at 57. We've got him projected at 9.2 assists against the 8.5 line. I like him to get even a little bit over that one. So I think we've got room on that. And then the Franz one was the top of the board, and the Tatum one was pretty strong as well. So I think we're quite good there, but maybe reconsider those 2 points ones.
Yeah, that's the last good point to finish on. No need for fancy play syndrome here. You don't have to worry about ownership. Don't have to get cute. It's you versus the house on No House Advantage. So there's the versus the house. They have the slight advantage, but remember, there's really
not when you're using our projections. We take that away.
Yeah, there's no VIG in it per se. Of course, that's also influencing a little bit where they set the lines. But remember, in this and in baseball, and they have NHL shots on goal, you can only move it by like half of a point one way, right? So you're always going to be shading it one way or the other that we should still have a slight advantage on this. So definitely check that out. Final thoughts, Terry, as we disappear for 35 minutes and then reconstitute as the deeper dive.
Though not going right up to live before lock. Shame. Final thoughts. Pay attention to some news. We've got some, interesting potential pieces, and think through what each piece of news means. What's going to happen? What's going to be the role change for any of these guys out there, and how does that impact their ability to get to these lines or fall under these lines? I think it's relatively straightforward. Make sure you're taking advantage of the free projections and the free lineup builds. If you're looking at the lineup builds, a lot of times we see when the chalk of chalk chalk all hits, there's a lot of chops in the versus the field contests at No House, because a lot of people are using these same, the high value plays, the high 90 percenters. On a day like today, it's a little bit more spread out. So you can make some different, interesting, differentiated type choices and start looking at those lineups and just click back 1 or 2 pages into our lineups. There's like 50, and then you got to go to the next page. There's another 50. So click back a page or two. The probabilities aren't going to drop that quickly across those first 50 lineups because of just because of how math works, right? So lineup 51 and lineup 1 are not going to be that differentiated from one another that you're killing yourself by going to lineup 51. And so many more people are just going to be building with those first 50 than those second 50, that you can gain a little bit of an edge on the field in terms of just game theory by, if you're just copying and pasting the lineups, just go back a few and leave off, maybe the top couple, just in an avoiding chop sense. If you don't care about chopping, use the top ones.
Yeah, I would say for every 50 that we're putting out there, you're probably losing about 0.5 to 0.7% on the probability.
Yeah, when we're putting in so
really
many of these, high 70s, high 80s probabilities, it's only going to change by minor degrees when you swap in 85% for an 84.3%,
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that, we're going to get on out of here. You can follow Harry on Twitter at DigitalB21. I am at EMac DFS. And of course, it is Stokastic _COM. With that, gamers, good luck.